Okay, so we're going to talk about love and infatuation. And when we're looking at love, all right, we want to make sure that you guys, love is respect, love is communication, and love, there should be no pressure. Okay? And when you're in a relationship, that is demonstrating love and kindness and everything and all that versus infatuation. There's going to be that mutual respect. There's going to be caring, honesty, and commitment. All right, and if you look at your worksheets, find the one that says, "Are we in love?" All right, with the little two, it's got the people on it, and then we're going to look at the differences between the two. Okay, yeah, I know there's a lot of sheets. I'm sorry. Are we in love? Okay, so the very first thing is, on one side, love is a rose what? Bush. All right, the other side, infatuation, is simply just a rose. All right, so what that demonstrates is that when you're in love, the rose bush produces multiple what? Roses. It grows and it multiplies, showing that your friendship grows deeper. When it's just infatuation, it's just one single what? Rose. And what happens after a while? If you pick a rose and you put it in a vase, what happens to that rose? All right, what happens to the rose bush? It's a rose bush and it's in the what? Ground, and it continues to what? Grow and get bigger. So I want you to keep that analogy in your head. All right? If we look here, love is what centered? We. Infatuation is me. Love is about you as a couple growing and doing things together. Me is about, it's selfish. It is about who I am. All right? I make you who you are because you are dating me. It is about me and it's about my wants and it's about my needs. It's not about whose? Yours. Okay? Love is about trust and what other word? Honesty. Infatuation is that jealousy and suspiciousness. All right? Some of you may know people who are in a relationship where maybe the girl is always grabbing the guy's phone and checking and seeing who he last what? Text, who he last Instagram, Snapchatted, Facebooked, tweeted, all that stuff. Because I don't what? Trust him. All right? I maybe tell him that he can only have so many contacts. These are the contacts I want you to have. And if I see you talking to or communicating with anyone else, I'm going to break up with you. I'm going to be mad. That's just not how it rolls. All right? Same thing in school. You can only talk to certain people. All right? What were you doing talking to her? What were you doing talking to him? Okay? Suspicion, jealous. That is infatuation. All right? Love accepts the person for who they are. But infatuation, you're going to try to do what with that person? Change them. All right? You're going to try to change them. A lot of times, you guys, I will see girls trying to date the bad boy, trying to change the what? Change the bad boy into a what? Good boy. So the girl might be a girl who's a really good kid, who does all her work, blah, 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 doesn't party, doesn't smoke, doesn't do drugs. Sometimes she dates this guy who she can see possibly could be a really great person, but right now he's using. And she's going to try to what? Change him. If he wants to change, he will what? Change. Sometimes, yes, they do change for you because they do love you, but you can't make them change. You cannot physically say, I'm going to make you change. You can do everything in your power, but if they don't want to change, they're not going to what? Change. It's just like my husband, you guys, he doesn't care how he looks when he dresses. Like, he will go out in public sometimes, and I'm like, okay, well, that's what you want to wear, that's what you can wear. Sometimes I have to put the kibosh on it and I have to say, can you go in and get another something on? All right? But that's not him. He's not. I've bought him button-down shirts, and I bought him, dressier T-shirts, and he could care less. He'd much rather wear some T-shirt that he won in a fishing contest, just your average old T-shirt that he got free, versus some cool T-shirt that says whatever on it. I don't know. What do you guys wear? He would wear a Nike T-shirt, but he wouldn't wear like your cool. What do you got on there, Roloff? Yeah, American Eagle. He could care less if it said American Eagle. I've actually bought him shirts like that. He doesn't what? He doesn't care. All right. So I can't change him. I just have to accept that's who he is. And sometimes we do have to look in the mirror before we go and have to say no. Like the other day, I'm like, no, you can't wear that underneath that. All right. Love is responsible, whereas infatuation is irresponsible. All right. Love is, you know what? You are going to be responsible. You are going to be respectful. You're going to accept the other person who they are. You're going to talk about limits. You're going to sit down and you're going to talk about limits and what you think is appropriate and where you're going to draw the line. All right, that's being responsible. Irresponsible is saying, you know what, if you just go on the pill, tell your mom that you have bad cramps and we're just go on the pill so we can do this. This is, you know what, we're okay about having sex, but we're not going to use protection. All right, that's being irresponsible. That's not being responsible. That is the infatuation. All right, love is also how many fights? Few fights. All right, infatuation, there's going to be a lot of fights. There's going to be a lot of arguments. There's going to be a lot of disagreements, probably daily, over some of this jealousy and suspicion, correct? Okay. Love has that high level of communication. I need, I feel, I want, I think, I believe. Low, you. You never do this. The only reason you are who you are is because you're dating me. All right. You didn't do this. You didn't, you know, whatever it is. You're talking to that person. You're talking to this person. You need to pay more attention to me. All right. Love, private intimacy. All right. You're not going to have the PDA. All right. How many of you have ever been uncomfortable by people who are PDA, in public display of affection? Anybody? And you get that, you're like, oh boy. When I was a sophomore in high school, I did not want to be down the junior hallway. You can ask your dad about that because he'd have been a junior, senior. You might remember that. Oh, I mean, there was just some couples that I was like, that made me feel uncomfortable and made a lot of people in school feel uncomfortable because they'd be laying on each other's laps. They'd be holding hands. There'd be hands places that you didn't quite know where the hands were. And it was when they had lunch. It was when they were walking down the hallways. There were kisses in between classes. Is that appropriate? Is that something that you need to do? Or is that showing ownership? Is that being jealous and suspicious? Is that not trusting? If you trust the person, do you need to show that in public? All right? Private intimacy. And being okay. And understanding, here's the other thing. Having control. Having control of your emotions and your feelings and being able to control them and be respectful at the same time. And here's the other thing. Maybe the person you're dating is totally fine with it, but are you being respectful to all those people around you? And no, you're not. So you need to be respectful for those other people around you. All right, like we talked about here, friendship that what? Grows. So the rose bush that grows versus it's about sex and it's about hormones. It's about that in the moment, in the heat of the moment. It's not about developing a relationship beyond that. It's about this rose that's going to what? Die. It'll be beautiful for 1-2 weeks maybe, and then it's going to peter out and die. All right? Love accepts, whereas intimacy, or what is it, infatuation, regrets. Remember it talked about the mental emotional consequences of having sex? One of them was feelings of what? Guilt and, what's this word? Regrets. Okay? Now, down here on the bottom it says, time will tell. Usually about what do they say? 6 to 9 months to think that, okay, after 6 to 9 months you might be in love. All right? I don't know if in 8th grade you know if you're in 6 to 9 months you can be dated. How many of you have dated somebody for 6 months? Is that love? You've made it for 6 months. You made it for a whole school year. Is that love? Do you know in 8th grade if that's love? I don't know. Even if it is love, all right, do you still want that rose bush to grow? All right, we want that rose bush to continue to keep growing. All right, and by doing these things that are over on the love side. Okay, my sister, when she was a junior in high school, going to be a senior, I remember thinking I was going to have some type of talk with her about her boyfriend that she'd been dating since a freshman. And it was like, I thought they were getting a little bit too serious, and I wasn't quite sure if I thought that was appropriate. So I said, well, how do you really feel about him? And she looked at me, straight serious, and she goes, Mary, he is my best friend. I do everything with him. I talk to him about absolutely everything, and I can say that I love him. And I'm like, all right, you're 16 years old and you know that, and I'm 22 years old and I couldn't put that into words. So I couldn't argue with her because I do believe she was in what? Love. And she was 16 years old. Okay? But their relationship had developed into that rose bush. Okay? Is every relationship that's a junior year in high school going to last and develop into that rose bush? Okay? Even some of you, like I look and I know your parents, I know some of your parents dated in high school, and I know, like I taught some of your parents. I just realized that I think, Kylie, you're my first kid that I taught both of your parents. So that makes me feel what? Old. Okay? So, and they can talk to you about how long it took their relationship to develop. And that, back when they first started dating, it was probably this infatuation, but it took time to grow into that love. All right, let's look at the letter. So there is one that is a letter. Nope, this one. Are you in love or infatuation? Dear Anne. And do you guys remember Dear Anne or Dear Abby if I say that? They're people that you used to write to in the newspaper and they'd answer your letters. All right. Here is just a little response. It says, Dear Ann Landers, infatuation is an instant desire. It's one set of glands calling to another. All right, where love is a friendship that has caught fire. It takes root and it grows one day at a time, like a rose bush. All right, infatuation is marked by a feeling of insecurity. You are excited and eager, but not genuinely happy. There are nagging doubts, unanswered questions, little bits and pieces about your beloved that you'd soon not examine too closely. It might spoil the dream. So you might see that the person that you're dating is rude to their parents, is rude to their friends, all right, is moody, is crabby, flies off the handle. But we don't want to examine that too closely because it might spoil our perfect what? Relationship, our friendship, our dating. That's infatuation. Love is a quiet understanding and a mature acceptance of imperfection. It is real. It gives you the strength and grows beyond you to bolster your beloved. You are warmed by his or her presence, even when they're away. Miles don't separate you. You want them near, but near or far, they are yours, and you can wait. So there's not jealous, there's not suspicious, there is what and what? Trust and honesty. Infatuation says, we have to get married right now. I can't risk losing you. All right? Promise rings were a big thing when I was growing up. Promise rings. Like when you're a sophomore in high school and you're giving a girl a promise ring, really? We got to get married right now. We got to get married as fast as we can. Okay? Love says, be patient. Don't panic. Plan your future with confidence. That when you're 25, you are planning that together. You're looking at that together and understanding and relating. Right? Infatuation has an element of sexual excitement. If you are honest, you'll admit it's difficult to be in one another's company unless you are sure you're going to end in some type of intimacy. So there's going to be some touching and feeling, and that's what you want every single time you see that person. All right? When it is love, it's a maturation of friendship. You must be friends before you can be lovers. Infatuation lacks confidence. When he's away or she's away, you wonder if they're cheating. Sometimes you check. Love means trust. You are calm, secure, unthreatened. He or she feels that trust, and it makes him or her even more trustworthy. Infatuation might lead you to do things you will regret later, but love never does. Love is an upper. It makes you look up, it makes you think up, it makes you a better person than you were before. So the person that you love being with makes you a better what? Person. Okay? All right. Are you in love or are you infatuated? And now we're going to look at the warning signs of an unhealthy relationship. Because these happen. Just in the newspaper the other day, they were talking about domestic violence, and It was kind of big. In the last year, there have been 34 cases of people who have died from domestic violence. Okay, and so these types of domestic violence, a lot of times they're because of an unhealthy what? Relationship. And I'm going to be honest, I think if you dug a little bit deeper into these, I bet you most of those domestic violences also have what involved in them. What other risk behaviors might be involved in those? Drugs and what? Some type of addiction. And you have to realize, too, when I'm talking about this, when somebody is addicted, are they really the person who they are? No. When they are sober and when they are clean, all right, they can be a wonderful person. But what happens is no matter how much you love them, unless they want to be sober and clean, they can't what? They can't change. They have to want to sober up. They have to want to be clean. All right, so sometimes when we're talking about some of these things, the unhealthy relationship can be the fact that they're using. Sometimes it's not that case, though. Sometimes it is their personality or it is who they are. Or it is the fact that the relationship isn't built on trust, it's built on that suspicion and jealousy. Okay, so here's just some warning signs and some things. You might see this in a relationship with yourself, or you might see it in a relationship with your friends. But jealous and possessive, isolate you from family and friends. You can only hang out with certain people. All right, checking the cell phone, checking with you all the time. Blaming others instead of taking responsibility for their behavior. Nothing is ever their what? Fault. Criticize you, put you down. You're nothing without me. All right? Just belittle you for every little thing that you do and make you feel like you can't do anything unless you're a part of me and my relationship. Control everything you do, who you see, where you see, what you wear, even telling you what you can and cannot wear. Certain things are okay to wear when you're only going to be seen with me. You cannot wear that out in public. Okay? Do they expect a woman to be subservient to a man and believe in the traditional sex role stereotypes? Meaning that the females, this is your place, you're not to talk, you're not to, you are to be quiet, your opinion isn't valued. All right, you're to stay at home, you're to be subservient to the male, do whatever the male wants you to what? Do. Okay, that might be a sign, a warning sign, might be. Okay, how they treat other people. Pay very close attention to how somebody you like or you think is cute or you want to date, how do they treat mom? How does the boy you want to date treat mom? Very, very important because that's probably how they're going to treat who? You. How does the girl you want to date treat mom? Treat dad? How do they treat brothers and sisters? How do they treat other family members, other friends? Pay attention to that. Because the more likely when you get close to them, they're going to start to treat you how they treat their what? Family. Okay? Do they come from a violent home in which they were abused or which one parent abused the other? Because what a lot of times they see is they see that as normal. They see it as normal for the mom to constantly be putting dad down. They see it as normal for the dad to constantly be putting mom down. Maybe there's some violence and hitting, other type of physical abuse. If they see that as normal, how do you think that they're going to treat you? What normal is. So how do you, if you really care for somebody and this is what they see, what do you do? Do you have to talk to them about it? How many of you ever heard the word of counseling? Do you think that that's maybe if you really care about this person and you want to continue to grow that relationship, do you think you need counseling? Okay. Do they intimidate you by using threats, the loud voice, angry gestures, looks, smashing or destroying property? This is that physical side. Do we see that? Repulsive, moody, unpredictable, hot-tempered. Okay. Ignore your feelings or make fun of them. So when they do ask you how you feel and you start telling them, do they ignore you and not listen to you or do they make fun of you? Do they put you down? Do you feel as though you can't please them? No matter what you do, it is not good enough. I know of a couple that had been dating for a few years and she wanted him, this kind of goes back to you can't change somebody. She wanted him to be more romantic. And he felt like no matter what he did, what he thought was romantic was never what? Was never enough. But she wanted him to be somebody he what? Wasn't. All right, which is fine, but you have to come to a mutual understanding. I think that relationship ended up breaking up and they're not dating anymore. Okay. How do they show Contempt or disrespect for men and women in general. Like what type of conversations do they have with their guy friends? What type of jokes do they talk about? What type of jokes do they laugh at? Okay. What are things that they really find funny? What are some things that the music that they listen to? Videos that they watch? Movies that they watch? Okay. Do they make demands on you that prevent you from being the person you want to be? Okay. Do they have difficulty expressing their feelings? Do they play mind games? Ladies will be very manipulative. Do they make you feel confused, stupid, wrong, or crazy? Do they make you feel completely responsible for their happiness? So if you're happy, whatever you do makes them happy. And if you aren't doing the right things, then they're not what? Happy. All right? And it's your job to make the relationship work. Do they manipulate you? Do they cry? Do they make promises? Do they buy you gifts to manipulate you, to get you to do what they want? Beneath the front, do they show the world? Beneath the front shows the world, does he or she have a poor self-image or lack confidence in himself? All right? So they really don't feel comfortable with themselves, but outside they look like they do, but you can see that they really lack self-confidence. Once again, something you can work on. All right? Do he or she depend on you to complete his or her homework, to get them out of trouble, to take care of the obligations or responsibilities that should be their own? So basically, are you enabling them to do everything and not take any responsibility for themselves? All right, so these are some warning signs of an unhealthy relationship where, is this infatuation or is this love? All right, it can be really tough. If you really do love and care about this person and these are some things, this is where you need help. Okay? And these can be some warning signs that you maybe need to do what in this relationship? You need to stay in it or get out of it. This is probably where you need to get out of it. Okay, you have this sheet of paper, right? This is one, like I said, that we're going to do on Thursday. Okay? And I'll get you started on it, but this is how you are going to tell me what you learned about today. Oh, not Thursday. I'm sorry, next Tuesday. Tuesday. All right, I want to stop.